Of course, surprises can always be a good thing, and the 2022 Major League Baseball season had its fair share. We have some good moments and some bad. But on this video, we're going to look at the 5 most surprising teams in Major League Baseball in 2022. Let's get into it. What's going on, baseball fans? Jeremy Laracuente here for the Baseball Banter Broadcast. And as we look at the most surprising teams in Major League Baseball in this current season, there's going to be some positive teams. There's also going to be some negative. So let's begin with number 5. Now, number 5 on my list is the St. Louis Cardinals, and this is going to be a positive surprise. While it was expected that they would be able to compete with the Brewers for the top of the division, there was very little thought that this team was going to be able to run away with the division as they have. There was also very little thought that when Albert Pujols announced he was going back to the Cardinals for a 1-year deal to finish his career, that he was going to have the season that he had. So when you look at what this Cardinals team is, the feeling that is around this team right now, it is a very positive surprise for 2022. As we look at the number 4 team on my list, it is the Chicago White Sox. Now, this surprise isn't in the right direction. They were supposed to be the class of this division and run away with the American League Central Division. They were a powerhouse in terms of their rotation and being able to have the offensive juggernauts that they had in that lineup in guys like Jose Abreu, Tim Anderson, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, and more. There was always going to be a thought that they were going to be able to command this division from day one and run away with it. However, that turned out to not be the case. Controversy would surround them with Tony La Russa's old school mentality at the beginning of the season, and it went downhill from there. Injuries really took a toll on the Chicago White Sox, and ultimately health issues have jumped up for Tony La Russa, and he is now done for the year in terms of managing. But when you look at what this team could be, this could be a 1-year blip, and they could go back to being a powerhouse threat in that very, in my opinion, weak division in the American League Central. But when you look at what there's going to be for this team in this 2022 campaign, there was a lot of ineffectiveness, a lot of inefficiency, injuries, and overall, a very surprising disappointment. As we look at the number 3 team on my list, it is that of the Cleveland Guardians. Being renamed in their first year as the Guardians, there was also not a lot of thought that this team was going to be able to truly compete at the top of the division. As I just previously stated, everyone expected the White Sox to run away with the division, and their only competition was supposed to be the Minnesota Twins. However, that turned out to not be the case, as the Cleveland Guardians have quietly taken hold of this division in 2022 and become the division winners. I think that there's going to be an opportunity for Cleveland to really continue to surprise some people, as they are constantly overlooked. They are a very strong and underrated team, and being able to have the pitching staff that they have at the front end with an ace like Shane Bieber, a closer like Emmanuel Clase, and then arguably one of the best and most underrated perennial MVP candidates in Jose Ramirez. You also have career years from a guy like Andres Jimenez, and you're also adding to the ability that this team has had to surprise people in 2022. They may not be able to be a surprise team in 2023 given how well they have played this season, but there's very little question that no one gave them a whole lot of credit going into 2022, and they surprisingly took over the rest of the division and made it their own. So going into 2023, don't expect the Guardians to be a surprise to anyone. As we look at the number 2 team on my list, it is that of the Baltimore Orioles. When you look at Baltimore, they were not expected to compete. This was supposed to be a last place team in a very difficult division. They were supposed to have the floor mopped with them, with the other 4 teams being so much better in terms of what people were expecting from them this season. However, that did not turn out to be the case, and this was a very positive surprise. Fans of the Baltimore Orioles are super excited about this team. They have a core of young players led by arguably the potential Rookie of the Year in Adley Rutschman, and being able to have a face like that for your franchise going into the 2023 campaign and beyond is really a very good sign for the Baltimore Orioles. Also, the changes that were made to the dimensions of the park are to help increase the attractiveness of the Baltimore Orioles to free agent pitchers. If the Baltimore Orioles find themselves going after some high-priced free agent pitchers, being able to acquire their services there makes this team even that much scarier in 2023. I think that there's going to be a lot of questions as to how real this team was in 2022, but there's very little doubt they were just on the precipice of reaching the postseason in 2022. So this was a very positive surprise for fans of the Baltimore Orioles here in 2022. Now, the number one most surprising team in 2022, the Seattle Mariners. There's very little question that the GM for Seattle, Jerry DiPoto, is a very active general manager. I've coined the term of him being the one-a-day GM, making vitamin day trades. I think that there's going to be an opportunity for the Mariners to really solidify themselves in this postseason run. Making the playoffs after not reaching the postseason in Major League Baseball since 2001 is a very big testament to how well this team has played. The moves that were made really solidified this team as a serious contender. Now, yes, the Astros ran away with the division, but the Mariners were in the wild card hunt and ultimately secured their spot this past week. I think that being able to have the Mariners back in the postseason is an incredible thing for Major League Baseball. This is one of the better franchises in my opinion and one of the better ballparks. I think that it is one of the nicest venues to watch a game go down. And when you look at what this team has done with the players that they've acquired, the players that they've brought up, i.e. the, in my opinion, Rookie of the Year, Julio Rodriguez, there's going to be an opportunity for the Mariners to really put their skill set on the spotlight of the national stage of the postseason. But I want to hear from you guys. Let me know your thoughts, your feelings on this down in the comments. Who was the most surprising team to you in the 2022 campaign and why? Let me know that down in the comments or head over to Twitter and find me at banter_baseball to keep the conversation rolling. As always, keep it locked into our entire GLMG family with Sibs, the Granny Geek Show, and of course here on the Baseball Banter Broadcast by hitting that subscribe button on all three channels. For sticking around to this point, head over to baseballbanterbroadcast.com. Use the promo code BANTER to save 5% off your order. Keep it locked in all season as we continue to look at the latest news, notes, and my personal thoughts, theories, and opinions on the game of Major League Baseball. Peace.